Well, as of today, Wednesday, March 12th, there's one thing that we can say that we know without any kind of debate, without any kind of shadow of the doubt. Bryce Underwood, Michigan's new quarterback, has a heck of a lot of moxy. Full of it, chock full of it. Confidence, moxy, all of that. Let's talk about some of the things he had to say on his appearance with Rich Eisen on Wednesday on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday. We are back and doing it a bit later than normal, but nonetheless, thanks to early church activities. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. And I was kind of sitting here thinking, like, you know, what are we going to talk about? I knew that when we did a podcast, there'd be one thing, which we'll talk about in segment 3. Dusty May's media circus. I don't know. Whirlwind media tour. I got to say some things about that. But we'll leave that because it was like, I want to really talk about something football. And then suddenly there was the delivery of, you know, the light shine down from the sky, and suddenly just the most amazing things happened, which was Bryce Underwood with a 20-plus minute appearance on the Rich Eisen show today. Highly recommend you check it out, but there is a lot that kind of comes out of it. Certainly the moxy. That's what we obviously started with. It could be from what he told LeBron James to what he said his goals are to, and then there's other things like he's 6'4", 228. 228. Like a couple inches taller than me. And weighs now 20 pounds heavier than I do. I mean, he's a big dude, all muscle. We've seen that, right? Already just kind of with that. That's the type of size that you would expect like senior Bryce Underwood to be, and not necessarily just true freshman Bryce Underwood. He had his thoughts on what, you know, him wanting to start for Michigan at the outset of the year, all of that stuff. To me, the most like borderline cocky. It's not even borderline. But it's just full on cocky, but you love to see it from your quarterback. Eisen asked Bryce Underwood, what is your goal at Michigan? What do you plan to achieve while in Ann Arbor? And again, he talks about being here for 3 years. There's no like 3 to 4 years or whatever. He knows what kind of talent he is. And he flat out says, a couple of Heismans and at least one Natty. That's what he wants. Unbelievable. It's just that. I mean, what Michigan has had some boldness at quarterback, but I don't know that Michigan's had this type of boldness at quarterback. JJ McCarthy was certainly very confident, but JJ is kind of also, I've said this before, he's like the give his shirt off of his back. If you know, like you're literally seeing that happening in Minnesota as he's like, you know, getting, pizzas and tents and heaters for the homeless in that area. That's the type of dude JJ is. He's a little bit more humble. Bryce Underwood. Now here's the caveat. He says like, you know, I'm going to put in the work to make sure that this happens, right? He's not just saying like, I'm so good, you can't beat me. He's like, I know that I have the talent and I'm going to also outwork you. So we'll see. But I mean, I think that is, when was the last time Michigan's had a quarterback that's come in that cocky and deservedly so? I can't remember. But he's very clear. I'm going to put in the work. It's not just, I'm going to show up and everybody bow down before me because your quarterback has arrived. He is also cognizant that it's going to take everything he has in order to make that happen. But a couple of Heismans, the last player to win 2 Heismans is before I was born, Archie Griffin, only one. So to win a couple of Heismans really means something. Now, keep in mind, Trevor Lawrence did not win a Heisman, right? And that's kind of the comp. But this is kind of a moment. We've talked about this before. Who's the franchise quarterback out there in college football that you're like, man, it's just, you're not going to beat that guy? Right at the moment, I don't believe there is one. There certainly have been those quarterbacks. Last year, I wouldn't even say that there necessarily was one. The year before, it would be like Caleb Williams. The year before, I can't remember what happened in 2022, but there just is not like this like unbelievable transcendent quarterback at the moment in college football. Could John Mateer be that? Yes. Could Dylan Raiola be that? Yes. Unfortunately, Michigan plays them in weeks 2 and 4. But nonetheless, there isn't anyone that currently has that mantle. Bryce Underwood's telling you, I'm coming for it right now. And with that, like he was asked about like what's his chip on his shoulder? Does he have a chip on? He said, I have a chip on my shoulder. And he's asked about it. Like, what is that chip? And he said, people thinking that that I'm not ready to play because I'm a freshman. They don't think I'm good enough because I'm a freshman. I mean, we here on this show will tell you there's more to the quarterback position than just like dropping back and completing passes. Bryce is out here trying to tell me, he's trying to tell you who agree with me that you are wrong. We are all wrong. We would be very happy to be wrong in that case. But he said that's a chip on my shoulder that I'm going to keep my sophomore and junior years as well. I remember that people said I'm going to have to, I'm not going to be able to be that guy. And he's not completely wrong that that's what's being said. But at the same time, everyone's also saying like, but he's probably, right? It's like, I don't know if he's going to be fully ready, but he probably is. And he's probably going to win that starting job, if not week 1 by week 4, right? Like that's what we say. Like we say week 4, that makes sense. But I don't know, maybe I'm changing my mind a little bit based off of his own ability to kind of sell himself. I mean, he's got the confidence. But there's obviously other things that are going to go into it. Who are his receivers? What's the offensive line look like? Is the run game going to be able to be productive with the offensive line? All of that kind of stuff. But I mean, this is a different style, a different breed of Michigan quarterback than you've seen. And you love to see it. Now, he also had some things to say about Ohio State. And I want to talk about that as well as more of what Bryce Underwood had to say on the Rich Eisen show. We're going to get to more about him. Because obviously he's going to be a big offseason topic regardless. But you love to have it come March 12th. We're going to get to more about Bryce Underwood here in just a moment. But before we do, this is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. And now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. Also, you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service, real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. All right, so one of the things that I think is really, really fun is that, last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was, that Bryce Underwood met up with LeBron James, right? Like it kind of broke the internet a little bit, showing him, I had Ohio State fans that were all mad because I made an innocuous joke as a could you believe that? Ohio State fans were mad about something. Never seen that happen before. Over an innocuous joke. Huh. Harumph. Clayton Safey took a screenshot from Underwood's Instagram of the two of them together, and I made the joke of like how amazing to see Underwood getting a chance to meet his fans already. And of course that angered like a lot, like more than should have, right? Like it's just such an innocuous joke. This is where like I beg you, if you are a sports fan on either side of the rivalry, do not take life this seriously. In the words of Van Wilder, you're never going to get out alive. Why do you take it this seriously, rivals? It is not a life or death situation. I know, like, we live in a world where everyone makes every little thing a life or death situation, right? Like, you leave the bathroom light on. You can think about what that does to the environment. You are killing pandas in Siam right now. Like, it gets to be absolutely absurd. But sports is supposed to be fun, and people aren't having fun with it. If you start getting to a point where everything makes you mad, and it's not just because your team is losing, then you've lost the plot. Anyhow, Bryce apparently, when he got his opportunity, notes that he was starstruck meeting LeBron, but then quickly said to LeBron, before all this started, this is what he said to Rich Eisen. Before all this started, I just have to let you know I go to Michigan. And he was like, oh, yeah? And then Underwood replies, it's over for Ohio State. And he said that LeBron responds, says, Ohio State is home. And Underwood says, like, yeah, it's gonna, yeah, like, and he said he laughed it off for a bit. And then we continued to have a conversation, right? At least that's like LeBron. He's got some skin in the game with some of his ties to Ohio State and everything. So there's that. And obviously there's a lot of people who wouldn't take that. You're right. There's probably Ohio State fans fuming at this at the moment, watching even me talking about it and fuming at me because I'm talking about it. So just like calm down, right? Like just calm down. That's all I got as far as that's concerned. Yeah, that I think, again, moxy. Like the first 11 minutes of this show is all about moxy. That's what Bryce Underwood has in spades. And like he's saying, like, yeah, we're just going to continue. Rich Eisen asked him, he said, like, I've said everything with my chest the last 4 years. You're saying that's going to continue for 3 more years. And Underwood's like, yeah, that's going to continue. That's happening. We're just going to continue that, keep that rolling. And in the words of Jim Harbaugh, God willing and the creek don't rise, man. Because it couldn't happen to just like a more just, what's the word? I have it in my head. I can't think of it. Just, it couldn't happen to a nicer fan base. I wanted to use a better word than that. And there are plenty of really good Ohio State fans. I'm gonna be honest, and because I get criticized by you, the Michigan fan, every now and again, when I try to paint with a broad brush that entire fan base, and so I will only paint the crazies that way. All right, last thing on the Bryce Underwood agenda. Well, 2 things. I did think it was interesting that this first offer came from Kentucky by way of Steve Clinkscale, and he said that was instrumental in terms of that when Clinkscale landed at Michigan, then he was the one who offered Bryce at Belleville. And I kind of put 2 and 2 together. My article probably doesn't do that. It probably just jumps from A to Z. But considering all of the Matt Weiss, and then the Kirk Campbell, I think Campbell did a really good job repairing the relationship that Matt Weiss just disregarded entirely. But I think that having Steve Clinkscale be that bridge from being his first offer, and then him ending up at the hometown school, all of that, I think that is absolutely phenomenal for Michigan being able to keep hope alive, right? Like, not everything happens with just even like an A to Z, not to just continue repeating motifs here, but like an A to Z type of idea. Not, it wouldn't have necessarily been like they didn't have a relationship. Michigan comes in at 0 hour and says, okay, we want you. And that they're able to repair the relationship enough, right? I think it takes those little things, the hometown school, the childhood favorite, Steve Clinkscale having formed that relationship early before he was at Michigan and then re-offering at Michigan. I think that's cool. Now, the last thing, and everyone's saying RIP my mentions because the first article I wrote, because I didn't see the full interview at first. I just saw what Eisen posted on Twitter, which was 6 minutes. So was Underwood saying that money was the last thing that was involved when it came to making the decision to flip from LSU to Michigan. I know it pains LSU fans to hear that. And I'm not, now, he says that money was crucial to this scenario, right? Like, you weren't going to get there without money. But he's also not wrong that was the last thing. Yeah, and there already are upset LSU fans in my mentions. You can cry it out in my mentions if you want. That's fine. I don't care. But at the same time, he's absolutely not wrong that was the last part of it. Because it was the the childhood school. Like, he wouldn't have had that commitment video that he had if it wasn't the school that he grew up rooting for and wanting to be a part of. And it just so happened that for whatever reason, Michigan did not really establish or build the relationship it needed in order to be able to get him. NIL certainly played a part of him going to LSU, and it played a part in getting him back to Michigan. But it's not like another school was going to be able to swoop in necessarily with like a substantial amount of money and say, yeah, come here. I think that the relationships built at LSU were stronger than that, right? it was really singular to one school. It wasn't like, Ball State was going to be like, if we give you 20 million, will you come here? It wasn't like, a more substantial school like Nebraska or USC or Georgia necessarily was going to have that pull either. I think it was very singularly going to be either I play for LSU or my hometown school. And it just so happened that the hometown school was able to give something competitive. And if he's able to make good on his, I don't want to call them promises, but his desires, his goals for his time in Ann Arbor, if he's able to make good on that, then it is worth every penny that the Ellisons ended up shelling out. Absolutely. So we'll see if it ends up coming to that, right? Because that's a hard thing to do, especially that considering the last person to win the Heisman Trophy is not a quarterback. It was Travis Hunter. That might open things up for them to look at a wide receiver or a running back, right? Or heck, maybe it's time for a defensive tackle. I mean, Mason Graham for Heisman should have been a thing last year. I don't understand why it didn't happen because he's the Heisman in our hearts and we know it and love him. But at the same time, I think that's a hard bar to cross, and I don't know that he'll do it. So, Bryce, if you're watching this, I'm telling you can't do it. So prove me wrong. You see what I'm doing there. You catch what I did there. Prove me wrong that I'm telling you, Bryce, you can't win more than one Heisman. You can't win a national championship. You can't do it, man. So prove me wrong. Show me that you can do it. Oh man, I'm gonna get angry comments from people that can't even sense a sarcastic tone. That's what's gonna happen. Or I'm gonna get yelled at it by Bryce Underwood. It's gonna be a rivalry the same way that Donovan Edwards and Clayton Sayfie are a rivalry. I can't share stories. People, I know I'm giving you intrigue. There's nothing to the story. It's just it's weird. All right. Anyway, let's talk about Dusty May, who for some reason has decided that he's going to go on Pardon My Take and a show of which I have IMDb credits for being on, Dan Dockich and all of that. And let's talk about some of that here in just a moment. But before we do, looking to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor makes eating well easy with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals that are fresh, never frozen, and ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences every week, you can customize your meals to fit your lifestyle, whether it's the one that I chose, which is Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Plus, Factor even offers wholesome smoothies, breakfast, and grab-and-go snacks to keep you fueled all day long. I love how Factor takes the stress out of meal planning. I recently tried out also their Protein Plus meals, and they were packed with flavor and kept me full throughout the entire day. The convenience is unbeatable. No prep, no mess, just great food in minutes. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50off and use the code lockedoncollege50off to get 50% off of your first box plus free shipping. That's code lockedoncollege50off at factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. All right, I want to get ahead of it in case anyone IMDb's me. I have 2 IMDb profiles. I'm gonna get ahead of it, and y'all can feel free to make fun of me all you want. I don't care. I have the one profile that has Sign Stealer and my couple appearances on whatever Dan Dockich's show is called. I can't remember what it's called. I have another one that was created while I was in college, initially because a short film I produced. I had very little to do with it. I mean, I did produce it. I had a lot to do with, the procurement of goods and not really location. Location was just on campus outside at night. But it was a short film called Mooncake. We got nominated for a Student Academy Award. Yes, that's the same academy that nominates for the Oscars. But there was a second movie on there. Yeah, so embarrassing. I acted in a zombie movie called Office Outbreak. And I was like the main zombie. And it filmed in Detroit, written and directed by an Ohio State fan. Because I wanted to be an actor before I wanted to go into film. And let me just say, it's super embarrassing, but I can laugh at myself, right? It's embarrassing. I don't have shame about it, but it's so if you do start IMDbing me, you'll see that. And if you try to make fun of me for it, I'm just going to laugh along with you, right? And so I'm telling you this to the rival fans. It's like the rival fans that want to make fun of my last name as if I haven't heard it all. Since I was like 3, right? Like, I'm laughing along with you. I recognize the ridiculousness of being in my 20s and being in this ridiculous zombie movie. Anyhow, Dusty May, for some reason, is going on a media tour talking a lot about the skirmish at the end of the last game. Everything I said on Monday, very interesting, because it's not that it cancels it out, but it's a bold choice, Cotton. Bold strategy, Cotton. Like, why are you calling attention to this? It wasn't like Michigan won the game. Just let it lie. It's the John U. Bacon. Actually, it's not even. This is John U. Bacon quoting Don Canham, right? So I'm doing the Wayne. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. I'm going to give the credit to John Bacon, but don't turn a one-day story into a two-day story, right? Like, here we are. It's Wednesday, and you've got Dusty May on Dockich and Pardon My Take, and sitting here talking about it. Now, I don't think he's wrong, and I can understand the impulse to sit and be like, pretty ridiculous when they have a logo that takes up like half the court, and you're saying in the middle of a 40-minute game that we're not allowed to be in that vicinity while the game is going on, right? I understand that impulse, because I would probably do the same thing, but it's a very reactionary thing. And if I'm Dusty, I'm just sidestepping at this point. I'm just saying, like, they won the game. They won the Big Ten. Congratulations. And I'm not calling any more attention to it, because that's what MSU fans want. Don't give them what they want. That's what they want. Because if you didn't watch Monday's show, it wasn't as popular as I thought it was going to be as a show. Because usually those types of shows are very popular. This one wasn't. But my take is, they live in a state of perpetual victimhood, even as and that's why they feel justified to do things in which a very minuscule action or word is said, something that's relatively mundane, and then they throw hands. It's because they live in a state of perpetual victimhood, and they want to continue to be the victim. And you can see how that played out in the aftermath, because they're out there just like, crying a river, and look at how classless Michigan is, and how dare they not respect the thing that nobody knows about except for us. Like, for Dusty May to go out there and put any more air underneath the wings of this, I think is misguided. And it's not unlike Jonathan Smith being like, oh, I get the rivalry now after everything. Now, that said, I mean, MSU's did start both of these events, but I think that when it like I said earlier, it's not that serious. So if I'm Dusty May, I'm just kind of moving on, right? You've got the 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament. You've got to get better, man, because right now it's looking like an early exit. Maybe they win Friday and get to play Saturday. That, to me, that's it. I think the ceiling for this team, as far as we can see at the moment, is to win 2 games in the tournament. And I think they'd be lucky to do that given the way they've played over the course of the last month. Depends on the draw, really. So I don't know. We'll see. But I would say, Dusty, please just stop going and appearing on national shows and talking about it. There's no point in that. You're not going to get sympathy. All you're doing is putting air underneath. You're being the wind beneath the wings of the MSU victimhood complex. So just don't give it to them, right? It's the Simpsons Halloween special. Just don't look. If you just don't look, then they don't. The advertisements don't have any power anymore. So just don't look. That's what you need to do, Dusty. Please, for the love of all things holy, just stop. Talk about your team. Anyway, that's going to do it for us today. We will do a mailbag tomorrow on Thursday. I'll put out the call once I'm up and at 'em. And with the time change, who knows what time that is. 2 p.m. I'll put out the call for a 4 p.m. show. That sounds about right. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you again soon. Peace.